All right, guys, welcome to the JumpX podcast, episode 11. Got with me Tom, Mr. Tom Dunks, Mr.
Special
Tom
guest.
Barnes, special guest, guys. Why don't you introduce yourself, because no one knows you.
Okay, so hi guys, I'm Tom Barnes. I'm a 5'3" dunker, about 120 kgs, and I've got about, on an average day, maybe like a 76-inch vertical.
76.
Yeah, around, that's on like an average day. Sometimes I hit the 80s, but
Yeah, what do you squat in deadlift to?
Squat is like 3 tons, and then deadlift's about 200 grams.
Yeah, so basically you squat an elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So today what we're actually doing is talking about 1 foot versus 2 foot jumping. Kind of our own experiences with it. And
The differences,
what we've seen.
differences between the two. Obviously, because there is differences and there is different things you need to focus on, and training wise and technique wise.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, go. Yeah, let's go. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I thought that was the same thing.
But I mean, if you look at it fast enough, you do it fast enough, they look the same, right? You're both jumping.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that actually reminds me. You guys probably know Connor Farley, right? He's one of our clients on JumpX. And he actually said to me, and this is bad by the way, don't do this. He actually approaches 2 foot jumping and 1 foot jumping the same way. Like the way he'll run into his approach for both is the exact same. But when he does 2 foot, he kind of just like stops and then does his like drop step.
Oh god!
Which is,
So it's like a pause. So it's like a pause.
There's no point doing the run up.
So it's like, yeah, why do you do the run up?
Yeah.
That's weird, man. That's weird. That's like everyone when they first start learning 2 foot and the transition from like 1 to 2 foot.
Yeah. That's why you kind of, when you're teaching 2 foot, if someone's really bad at it, you'll literally take them from just like doing the like penultimate step and then you like slowly bring it out bit by bit until they can add speed.
100%. That's something I struggled with early on. Like I started 1 foot, transition to 2 foot, and just, carrying the speed in, having the approach be actually smooth and fluent. That was a big struggle for me, and it took me a long time. I had to get really good at doing 1-step approaches or drop step approaches.
Yeah.
Then build out slowly from there.
Didn't you make a reel on that?
I have videos of me like literally having no idea.
Life, yeah.
Yeah, good life. No idea how to jump up 2 foot. I was so awkward, dude.
Yeah, so you're naturally 1 foot, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how most dunkers start out.
Yeah.
To be honest, so everyone, or most, not everyone.
I feel like everyone does jump off 1 foot just because if you play any kind of sport, it's the most dominant, most likely, right? You've got Aussie rules football, soccer, or football. Yeah, so.
Yeah, well, it's like basketball, man. Like, most people jump off their left foot because they take it to the right-hand side of the basket most of the time.
Yeah.
When they are like doing layups and on a fast break and all that sort of stuff. The only time you really jump off 2 foot in basketball.
Rebound.
Yeah, rebounding.
Unless you're like trying to dunk on someone off 2 feet.
Yeah.
That's probably the only other time when it's like.
Unless you jump around.
Yeah, I mean.
Or Derrick Rose.
Or OG Blake Griffin.
Yeah. It was crazy, man.
Which is weird though, because like he's a bigger guy, like on the taller side, but he preferred 2 foot. Usually you'd see the other way around. Like obviously John Moran and Derrick Rose are on the shorter side of NBA players. So
yeah, well, Ja can jump off 1 foot well.
Yeah, he's very elastic, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
I mean, so good Derrick Rose. What am I saying? Like no fucking shit. But like they prefer 2 foot.
Yeah, but it's like Giannis, mostly 1 foot.
Yep.
But he barely has to jump to dunk, so.
Yeah, bro. They probably have like over 9 foot reaches.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
At least Giannis anyway.
I think I think LeBron's is like, yeah.
I think it was
somewhere around close to 9 foot. I remember.
That's fucked.
It is.
Imagine needing like 12 inches to touch the ring.
Yeah.
It's like just standing on your toes, basically.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah.
That is actually crazy.
Like a mini jump.
Yeah.
But you started off 1 foot. I kind of did, but pretty much like I instantly went to 2 foot.
Like, you can like you're pretty elastic. Like you got very stiff tendons, so I think you could be good at 1 foot if you tried and wanted to. But it's just getting the jump reps and the volume in. That's the difference.
Yeah, at the end of the day, maybe as sad as it is to say, if you really want to be elite at something, you have to kind of specialize a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's exceptions of people like what's his name, Chris. You know what I'm talking about? The guy does all the backflip dunks.
Yeah.
Jumps off against athletics. What's his actual?
Yeah. I don't know his actual name. Against the odds athletics. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
He's like 48 off 1 and 50 off 2.
Yeah. So he's a exception, but obviously.
Yeah. Well, it's like for myself, right? I always jumped higher off my left leg, just because it was always more elastic and the tendons were a bit stiffer on that side, and the stretch shortening cycles were a little bit more developed on that leg. But since doing more plyometrics and all that sort of stuff, my right leg has gotten to the point where all those qualities are very similar, if not the same. But I still can't jump nearly as high off my right leg, just due to the skill component of jumping.
Yeah, well, you haven't got all those childhood reps in, have you?
No, off my right leg, even though the potential of it is the same.
And you could if you dedicated a whole year of your training.
Yeah, but why would I do that? Why would I do that?
You're 2-foot jumper now, so
why would I do that? Yeah.
At one point,
I've turned to the dark side of the force.
Literally, bro. At one point, I was literally windmilling off 1. This was lockdown 2020.
Oh, I think
or maybe 2020.
I think I seen that clip of yours. I've seen that clip of yours.
But I hit like
was
5
that home,
that day.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I just thought, I was in lockdown. I was like, let's just destroy myself at jumping.
Yeah.
So I just jumped like so much, and then it got better just because I like practiced the motion more.
Yeah.
I feel like East Bay off 1 would be sick. Now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to do it.
It does look nice. It does
just
look
to
nice.
say I've done it.
So do you reckon 1 foot? Do you reckon East Baying off 1 foot looks better than 2?
No.
No.
No, because 2.
Windmills
look sick. Yeah.
They do look pretty sick.
I just feel like off 1 foot, it's way easier because like your legs are already up there.
East Baying. Yeah.
Whereas 2 foot, you kind of have to like.
There's a lot more technicality to it.
Yeah.
So.
Spin dunks off 1 foot look way better, because they're actually fucked.
They're hard to do and scary to do just because of the meniscus and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Every time I see Connor do it, I'm like, obviously.
Okay, spinning. That's like he's spinning the right way though.
Yeah.
It's when they go the other way.
Yeah.
And try and do like reverse shit. That's fucked.
It still freaks me out though because of obviously me hurting my meniscus. So.
Yours was off 2 foot as well, which is kind of. So.
Yeah, that's just spinning too much on the ground and not enough in the air. So.
Yeah.
Which I've since focused on changing.
Yeah, because you can do spin dunks now without tearing your shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's because I really think about how I'm spinning. It's not just like, let's just turn like willy nilly.
Yeah, your body's not like there, and your feet are like.
I want to get to the point where I can just like approach the rim straight on, just 360.
Ooh, off vert.
Yeah.
So I swear I've actually not seen that many people do that. Now that I'm thinking about
off vert 360.
Maybe Chi, yeah. Other than that, I don't know who else.
I might have to try it.
You probably could hit it as well. But
yeah, anyways, 1 foot versus 2 foot, like obviously the differences between the two, and obviously there's different things you need to focus on in your training.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously 1 foot, it's a lot more of an elastic movement and contact when you're planting. Shorter ground contact time. What is the ground contact time? I think it's around 150 milliseconds, 180.
I was gonna say 150 to 200.
Yeah, 150 to 200.
And then 2 foot jumping can be up to like 350, maybe 400, depending.
Yeah.
Depends. I feel like
depends
on the shorter side.
It depends on the athlete. Yeah, definitely on the shorter side. So it depends on the athlete and like your style jumping, how you jump, and what your strengths are in terms of the qualities you've developed. But 1 foot generally is much more of an elastic type movement.
Facts.
Obviously, there's 2 versions of 1 foot. There's power jumping.
Yep.
Right, and then there's speed jumping as well, off 1 foot, and obviously speed jumping is like power jumping on steroids. That's like way more of an elastic, well not way more, but even more of an elastic type.
Yeah, it would be quicker ground contact just because you have to carry more speed.
No, it definitely is.
Yeah,
it definitely is. I think it's closer to 100 milliseconds. It's pretty quick, man.
Sprinting's like, like 180 to 100.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of getting close to sprinting. So
yeah.
And as we know, sprinting's like the lowest ground contact you can pretty much have.
If you guys are listening, and you don't know what these 2 styles of jumps look like, go on Instagram, look at Nick Briz. He is a speed jumper and then an example of a power jumper.
Sutherland.
Yeah, Jordan Sutherland or
pretty much everyone else.
LeBron, Zach Levine.
Yep.
They're power jumpers. Which brings me back to the dunk contest. Zach Levine, you know.
Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's something you have to watch like at least once per month. I mean, at least I do.
For the motivation, yeah. Facts.
What's her name? Harrison. I don't know if I brought this up in a podcast. I brought it up somewhere.
Oh, he does both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both.
One of our past athletes, he power jumped and speed jumped, and we're looking back at footage, and he was pretty decent at both. Although obviously speed jumping looked freakier.
Yeah, I feel like he got better at speed jumping towards the end because he was getting more elastic because he was training.
Yeah.
But like just as baseline Harrison, like OG Harrison, before we trained him, he was more speed. Just because playing basketball and didn't really train for vertical. But
no, 100%.
Yeah, you won't see that many speed jumpers. Other than maybe if you go to like track and field.
Yeah.
But in basketball, generally no.
Yeah, it is a bit rarer.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, the differences between
I was gonna say real quick, just because you heard Austin say it's rarer, don't go off and try and do it. Be like, I want to be special and I'm a speed jumper now.
No. You gotta play to your strengths. So I would never go speed jump.
No.
You know, maybe for fun, but like even
realistically,
nah, fuck that. Still, fuck that. You know what I mean? It's not my strength as an athlete. So,
there's almost disadvantages to it.
Yeah.
In some senses, because one, you're jumping off 1 foot, so you're gonna have a higher load just per jump. But secondly, like the genetic limit is a lot lower than if you were to go off a speed jump approach or a 2 foot approach.
Because the ground contact time is shorter. And obviously, the shorter the ground contact time, the harder it is to influence through training, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the saying comes in, sprinters are born, not made. You obviously can train to get quicker still, right? But there's only so much you can do. Like, a big part of it is genetics.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Why do you think, well, obviously there's more than one reason, but why do you think there's the same countries dominating sprinting?
Yeah. Yeah. But this is why jumping is way more, it was way more influential through training than sprinting, because the ground contact times are longer, so there's more time to play with in terms of your training. So
yeah, that's true, and that's kind of like the beauty of the whole jump circle, jump life, dunk life, whatever you want to call it, is you literally see people from not touching the ring to getting their head above the ring. You know, maybe it takes 8-10 years, but you can still do it.
Yeah.
And that's like, when you think about it, you're actually like changing how your body works. I just like find that such a cool concept.
Yeah.
Like, you can go, okay, I've been dealt this hand, but you can do something about it.
Yeah. No,
if you're willing to give enough time and effort.
It is pretty awesome. You know, like, look at your transformation, look at all our athletes' transformations, like even myself as well, my brothers, everyone.
You started in 2019?
Yeah.
When?
I can't remember, dude, off the top of my head.
So you've been going about 3 years?
Yeah, 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting towards 4-5 at this point, because I started 2018.
Yeah.
Hayden's been going not even a year.
Yeah, a few
over 8 inches. I'd say over 8 inches on his
Well, he's gone from not being able to touch the ring off 1 foot to dunking off dribble.
In game. Yeah.
Off both 1 and 2 feet.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Like, I don't think it's cocky to say I'm not surprised.
No. Yeah.
He's on JumpX, so
he does consistent good training.
Yeah. And he works hard. He does everything we tell him to do.
Yeah.
So he listens. So there you go, guys. So you do everything we tell you to do, and you listen, you do the training, you work hard, like, you're gonna get results, and you're gonna get crazy results.
Yeah. I feel like we have a whole spectrum of athletes in terms of like how much, I think the word's adherence to the training. You've got people who are on JumpX at this end of the scale who do no training, or they'll do like 1 session a week, and then you got people like Hayden in the middle,
do everything,
does exactly what the training says to a T, nothing extra, nothing less, and then you've got the hack end. He does the training plus.
Well, he does everything we tell him to do plus more.
Yeah, plus a 6-hour fucking leg session.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We had again. He's bringing back to the 1 foot, 2 foot thing. he was all 1 foot at the start.
Yeah.
He ran into a few issues like a couple months in because his volume of training and jumping was so high. Had shin splints, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. So obviously with 2 foot jumping, like the reason we jump up 2 foot, a big reason why I jump up 2 foot is because we can handle a high volume of jumping. Especially locally in terms of not so much on the nervous system, but more so on the muscular system, the structure.
Yeah.
Right, it's way more taxing on your quad, calf, knee, everything to jump off 1 foot 50 times than it is 2 foot. So that's a big part of why we transitioned.
Well,
for me,
yeah,
and why a lot of people transition as well. And obviously, there's more potential to hit trick dunks off 2 foot as well. It's a bit more versatile in that aspect.
Yeah.
So there's that factor. I guess to play it, and obviously if you're trying to be a dunker, that's important. But if you're trying to be a basketball player, then obviously you want to be good at jumping off both. So that's
versatility.
Yeah, you want that versatility in your training. But yeah, going back to the differences, obviously 1 foot's way more of an elastic type movement than it is than 2 foot. Right?
No, yeah, obviously. Okay, when I say 2 foot's not elastic.
No, no, it obviously is.
Yeah.
But on the spectrum.
Yeah.
You know, it's more leans more towards that side of things.
Yeah, because if you compare 2 foot jumping to Olympic weightlifting, then 2 foot jumping is way more elastic than Olympic weightlifting.
Yeah.
You know, it's just what you're comparing it to.
Even though the rate of force development is quite similar.
Oh, it's, yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of like
it's
actual
quite interesting.
like, tendons and so
yeah, in terms of actual tendons and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, that is way more muscularly driven than weightlifting.
Yeah,
so.
And what you will generally find is people will make like muscular adaptations before they start making like tendon adaptations.
Oh yeah.
So people go, oh, I've been doing a month of plyos in the gym.
Yeah, it's slow, man.
Why am I not more elastic? Well, it's gonna take longer than that, right?
It's slow, and that's part of the reason why 1 foot jumping can take longer or a little bit longer to see results in as well.
Yeah.
Than 2 foot.
Also, 1 foot jumping generally takes more of a hit from fatigue. I've just like noticed. So you'll find like say you're in like a heavy deep squat cycle. Like your 2 foot maybe will drop 1-2 inches, but your 1 foot could drop like 4 or 5 during your heavily fatigued weeks, like you know, like week 2, week 3 in your training before a deload. You never know.
You know, I've noticed that like even like with myself, like when I'm like midway through a cycle trying to jump 1 foot, I just feel so heavy and just terrible.
Yeah, I think heavy is the word, right? Everyone says that same word. It's heavy.
And then deloads, I'm just like I feel like a feather, like I'm just flying, like everything just feels so effortless. So
I kind of want to like dive into this topic a little bit.
And you can see, but you can see that in the footage, bro. Like I go back and look at my footage.
Yeah.
And like literally every time I deloaded my 1 foot, it just looks like I like fly up, like glide.
Effortless.
Yeah, it's effortless.
Yeah. So a lot of people say like, you know, when we hear them talking about their jumping and how their training's progressing and all that, they use different words, and one of them is effortless and like light. Say you come to a session, it's the week after your deload, you're more than likely gonna feel on the lighter side, right? Compare that to your like deep in a cycle, you're super fatigued, you've had lots of training volume under your belt, you're gonna feel heavy. You know, you actually step on the scale on both those days, the weight's not actually gonna be that much different, right? So I don't know, it's just something interesting that I've noticed people always say. They always come back to that one word, like, I feel light today. So like a good example is Connor Farley. He said, I'm feeling really heavy today, and this was last week when he didn't jump at all off 1 foot because his knee was playing up. But he decided to jump off 2 foot, had no pain, but his 2 foot was still like pretty decent. So, I mean, for yourself, do you experience that same thing? You know, you can come to a dunk session and actually feel like heavy. Like
without a doubt. No, without a doubt.
Like everything's an effort.
No, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And you can feel that like straight away in the warm-ups, man.
Yeah.
You can feel that straight away in the warm-ups. Like, I know, like, I'm going to jump well. Like, on the first jump, if I, like, jump up and I literally barely any effort, grab the rim, just felt like I floated up, then, you know, I'm like, yeah, today's the day. You know what I mean? But if it felt kind of hard, like, it felt like I had to try a little bit harder than normal to grab the rim on one of those first jumps, then, yeah, I know today's probably not going to be my day. And to be honest, like if you're training to actually like improve your vertical and actually see results and force adaptation, you're gonna feel heavy more often than not.
Yeah, you gotta have the shit sessions. You just have to. If you actually want to have like long-term progress, you gotta actually put yourself in that deficit to actually bring yourself back out of it and come out better.
Yeah.
If you're always just kind of at that maintenance level, yeah, you're gonna be jumping well every week, but you're not gonna get any better. And then the guy that has had those dips will actually get better than you eventually. But yeah, back to what you were saying about when you feel like it's more effort to touch the ring or whatever. I feel like the better you are at jumping and the more experience you have, the better you can tell if you're gonna have a good day or not, because you're like way more in tune with your body. Like sometimes I wake up, I'm like, oh, I'm yamming today. You know what I mean?
No, but I
feel
feel like
like
but I feel like part of that too is actually your excitement for the session and how much you actually feel like dunking and how motivated you are.
It plays a big fucking factor.
It plays a huge role, right? If you're going to the session, I'm gonna destroy this motherfucking ring.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna yam some like nasty dunks, and I really want to do this. And like you're extra motivated.
Yeah.
You know, you got haters telling you, oh, you can't jump. You know.
Oh,
you're probably gonna dunk well that day. Right, but if you're like, oh, I'm kind of tired, I don't really feel like jumping today, you might feel fresh as fuck, but you don't really have that motivation, you don't really have that drive, then that's gonna highly influence your session.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I said, I was telling Hayden this yesterday, he's like, oh man, you know, I'm pretty fatigued right now, I've had a hard cycle, I don't think I'm gonna jump that well. On Saturday, he was telling me this yesterday at the gym, and I'm like, bro, I've had some of my best sessions when I should have had some of my worst sessions. Whether that be because of, you know, sometimes you just wake up angry or some shit.
I've had the same thing.
Yeah.
I've had the same thing happen.
It's
like, don't get me wrong though, it's not all the time.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, every time I feel at my worst, I jump well. But like every now and again, I would say it's kind of rare, but I do have like good sessions when I should be theoretically like fatigued.
Basically, never count yourself out. You never count yourself out. Like, sometimes, and it can even work the other way. Sometimes you can feel amazing, and like you were saying, you can just, you know, not have that edge, I guess. Like, yeah, you might be fresh, you might have a decent session, but you don't have like those standout sessions. Just because you didn't have that extra, like, you know, going juices.
Yeah. And the real sign of improvement is like, if your bad session is better than or just as good as your good session 6 months earlier.
Oh, you've done well.
You've done well. That's crazy, you know? That's crazy. So, like, when you have those bad sessions, look back on that. You know, if you're still windmilling on a bad session when 6 months ago is your best session to windmill, then you're doing well, you're progressing well.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, getting back to this 1 foot and this 2 foot, obviously 1 foot, fast ground contact times. So this is where plyometrics can be very useful in improving 1 foot jumping, right? Because obviously 1 foot jumping, it leans more towards the side. It's a little bit more reliant on your tendon properties. Then 2 foot.
2 foot's very musculary.
Obviously,
musculary.
Muscally driven. It's a little bit more muscally driven. So obviously it's not black and white. It's not one or the other, but just on the spectrum, one leans more towards the other than the other. So so that's where plyometrics are very useful in improving 1 foot jumping, right? Especially done in the right way, and that's where 1 foot jumping can take longer to improve.
Because it takes longer.
Takes longer for the tendons to adapt.
Yeah, man.
So
plyos are sick, but it's just like the whole, I don't know, it's just like the whole fitness industry or the jumping community, but they've like butchered how plyos are like put into programs like half the time. Like I'll message someone and they will kind of tell me like how they, you know, what they're doing, and I'll be like, you know, I'm doing plyos right now. Yeah. But then they'll tell me what plyos they're doing. I'm just like, that's.
And they're like, oh, I'm doing 50 box jumps.
Well, that's like the extreme example.
Okay, so one thing, box jumps is not a plyometric.
No.
It's not plyometric. We can dive into that a little bit deeper, but it's not plyometric. Yeah, it should be another podcast. So box jumps are not plyometric. They're a power movement, right?
Most of the time, they're not full intent.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you're doing it to fatigue, or if you're getting fatigued doing them, then you're not training that power.
You're defeating the purpose.
Adaptation. Yeah. You're defeating the purpose of doing it. At that point, you're doing it for conditioning. You may as well be doing CrossFit, not training to jump higher, right?
Box jumps for conditioning. I know you had a fucking thing about that a couple.
Yeah, well, in short, it's dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's dumb as fuck. So, like,
Bicep curls for conditioning, baby.
So like obviously you're gonna do a high intensity movement to fatigue, right? And you're jumping on top of the box. All it takes is for you to be too fatigued on one rep, miss the box, land awkwardly, hurt yourself pretty badly.
Yeah.
It's like doing Olympic lifting for conditioning, right? Too fatigued. It's not made for that.
That's some CrossFit shit.
It's a highly technical movement designed for power development, right?
You gotta think, what's the goal? You're trying to do one jump really high. So if you're doing 50 jumps really low, like, I don't really need to explain any further, do I?
Yeah.
Like, you're not doing what you should be doing.
Yeah. Well, it's like when you go out and do a jump session, do you go out and do a jump session and you try to dunk and then do you just go like 50 jumps back to back to back to back to back to back, no rest?
Yeah, no.
No.
Well,
no,
unless you're
you
on
do
like
it.
demon time or something.
Or you've got a shit ton of creatine in your system.
Yeah. You're just scooping, like you do a jump and you just have like a sip of a bottle that's like soaked with creatine.
Yeah.
I'm good to go. That's how it works.
You just bathed in creatine the night before.
Yeah.
You know, sort of Epsom salt, you're just having a creatine bath.
Bro, that'd be so expensive.
Yeah, but no. But going back to that, right? You wouldn't do that, right? No, you would jump, rest a couple minutes, then go jump again. Right, because you wanna have high quality reps where you can maximally exert yourself and maximally express your force production, right? In those jump sessions, so like, why would you go into a training session designed to help you jump higher and then do 50 jumps back to back?
Yeah,
it's the same reason why would you do 50 calf raises, 1,000 calf raises a day to jump higher? Doesn't make sense.
You seen those memes like Travis will post like, POV, you did 1,000 calf raises the night before, and it's him like hitting a fucking windmill elbow. Bro, Travis is such a troll online, man.
Man, we might have to make a post about that. I actually got
the
a
calf
post
raise
idea.
one? Yeah.
Like POV, I found the best vertical jump exercise.
Oh, bro, you could actually, there's so many ideas with that. Actually, before we get this, because I guarantee someone's going to ask something along the lines of this. So you just brought up like, don't do 50 box jumps.
Yeah.
Because why are you training endurance? Or like, not full intent exercises. And then they might come out with the comeback saying something like, oh, then what's the point of doing like extensive hops or some shit like that?
Yeah.
And because they're not full intent all the time.
Yeah.
And my response to that is, when you're doing those, you're not actually training the jumping aspect. You're actually training the like adaptations that you're trying to get from the tendon.
Yeah.
Right? That's the best way I could put it.
Obviously. And that's one of the best ways to strengthen your tendon.
What, you're talking about?
It's through volume.
Oh, right. You're just talking about...
Through volume. Yeah. That builds tendon strength like crazy.
Yeah.
Not so much intensity, volume. Right?
Yeah, actually, if you look at a lot of marathon runners...
They have some of the thickest, strongest tendons.
I wonder why.
Achilles, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder why their Achilles are so... Oh, it's because they run kilometers every day. Obviously, you don't go run a marathon to get your tendons stiffer.
No.
You're going to run into other issues like the interference effect. But that's Again, we keep saying this, it's a whole other podcast topic. Like, that's the thing with vertical jump training. There's actually so many different layers to it, and so many factors that come into play depending on what you need.
Shrek says, right? It's like an onion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if people don't get that, then you're uncultured. I feel like.
Uncultured.
Yeah, he wasn't saying Shrek.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say that people don't get the whole vertical jump thing.
Oh no.
You're uncultured, bro. If you don't know.
Yeah, if you don't understand like how plyometrics should be integrated into a program, you're actually very uncultured.
Yeah, you're just uncultured, man. You haven't travelled enough. Yeah.
Yeah, you obviously learned that from like your travels to Eastern
Go to
Europe.
America, bro. Watch an NBA game.
I go to Eastern Europe, bro.
Yeah.
Well, what does the camera say?
Alright, so the camera cut out. But anyways, we're gonna end the podcast there, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. Of course, if you guys are looking for training and looking for additional help with your training, DM JumpX podcast, or DM us like the JumpX page podcast. We'll get you sorted from there.
We'll get you jumping higher.
Yeah, we'll get you jumping higher. Guaranteed results in your first 30 days, or you get all your money back. Proven jump training. All right.
So you can't actually lose.
There's no loss. You're gonna be jumping higher, or you get your money back.
So unless jumping is not actually a priority to you, there's no reason to not do it.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
If you really want to jump higher, guaranteed, it's very simple.
Exactly.
You can't lose, so.
Exactly.
Other than that, we got more podcasts coming out. We got content coming out. We're progressing. Our athletes progressing. So keep watching our space.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that,
yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.